Hello folks, and welcome back to Anstalk Gaming. In today's episode I'm going to be giving my first tutorial on staff zones and staff management. Now, this is something I've been having to do recently with my park, and as I've just built a new area I thought it'd be a good time to show you all how it works, or at least how I do it. The user interface and the method of doing it is not particularly clear, so hopefully this tutorial will give you a few hints, a few tips on how to do it quickly and easily for yourself so that your park can run a little bit smoother. So, what is a staff zone? In Planet Coaster 2 you are able to paint certain areas of the map and assign it to be a staff zone. This is just a simple method of segregating your map into little subzones so that you can then micromanage your employees a little bit easier. Now, why do we need staff zones? Well, the ultimate truth is you don't need staff zones. If you really don't want to get stuck into the micromanagement of your staff, you don't need to bother with this feature at all. There are, however, some advantages to setting up staff zones. The key really being optimization. We want to optimize uptime for our rides and for our shops, and we want to make sure all of our facilities are functioning correctly and that we've got enough janitors and mechanics to make sure everything stays nice and clean and running smoothly. So the first thing we want to do is go into the staff menu, and on the right hand side we've got the staff zones button. We want to create a new staff zone. As you can see in my park from this view, I've got two set up so far. One for the water park at the back and another one at the front for the main entrance. I've built this new section, that's what I'm going to be setting up as my new staff zone. You want to try and have different colours for each zone. Yellow is what it's defaulted to for this one, that's fine. And then you want to set up a symbol, an icon. That will become more important later, but try and make sure the icon is both unique and relevant to the zone that you're in. So, as this new zone that I'm doing is mostly focused on a big log ride, I'm going to choose this symbol, as that will let me know when I'm looking at other menus that I'm looking at the right zone. And then from there we just start painting. So colour the full zone in, take it as far or as close as you want it to, but make sure you're covering all the rides and all the vendors that you want covered by that staff zone. If you leave something out, that's not a problem, you can just come back to it later, expand the zone or contract it as you wish. So that's my new staff zone painted. It covers all the shops, the 3 flat rides, my Splash Mountain ride, and it also covers this solar panel farm that I've got, because I want all the mechanics going there and not leaving this zone. Once you've finished painting, just click the done button at the top and this will give you your overview. Now you want to rename it so you know exactly what it is. What I like to do is give each zone a number, and I put it in brackets just so it's easier to read and pick out. This is my 3rd zone, so it's number 3. I'm just going to call it Splash Mountain, as that helps me remember exactly what it is. Now once you've painted a zone like I've just done, you then start getting access to some of the statistics about it. So if I click on the staff tab, you can see at the moment I've got no staff assigned to this zone, even though there are staff that are in the zone and that are assigned to some of the vendors, some of the shops that are in there. They're not actually assigned to the zone. You've got a finances tab. Doesn't tell me a huge amount at this point in time. This zone's fairly new, so it's not been running for a full day yet. Rides and attractions. This is an important one. It tells you exactly what's in the zone. So I've got my 3 flat rides, which is what I wanted, and I've got my Splash Mountain log flume coaster thing, and that's in there. And then shops and facilities. We've got 3 food shops, some toilets, a dryer, staff building, 3 drink shops, 2 souvenirs. Now this is the important tab. This is going to help you know how many staff you need in the zone at a bare minimum. So if we have a look here, in terms of the shops and facilities, 3 food shops, 3 drink shops, 2 souvenir shops. That's 8 shops in total that require vendors. Okay, remember that number, or I'll try and remember it. And in terms of the rides, I've got 4, so I need a minimum of 4 attendants in the zone. Okay, so it's time to start actually adding some staff to the zone. And there's a little bit of micromanagement and a little bit of renaming that you need to do first, or that I like to do anyway. You don't necessarily have to, but you will find it easier in the long run if you go through this. So we go into park management, and then into staff. We want to order by name. Now if we have a little look here, you can see some of my staff have got a 1 or a 2 in front of their names already. Now these are staff that I've already assigned to a staff zone, and the ones without a number are the ones that are just wandering around free. I haven't done anything with them as of yet. So what I want to do is start going through and renaming some of these staff so that I can easily assign them to my new zone. So I've got 4 unassigned janitors so far. Let's start renaming them. You can just copy and paste, save you a little bit of time here so you don't have to type it out each time. So I'm going to start with 3 janitors for my new zone. I don't need any lifeguards. Mechanics. Let's take all 3 of the spare ones to begin with. We might need 1 or 2 more, but hopefully 3 will be enough for this new zone. Ride attendants. Now if you remember from when I painted the zone, I had 4 rides. So I'm going to go with my 4 attendants to start with, and then 1 extra to cover them when they're on breaks. That should be enough for this zone. And then down to vendors. Now if you remember, we had 8 different shops in this zone that require staff. So I will rename 8 vendors. And then I'm going to have 2 more to start with in this zone. I probably only need 1 in terms of ultimate optimization, but I'm going to go with 2 just to be a bit safe. And that's it in terms of renaming. So next thing, what I want to do is actually start assigning some of these people to the zone. At the moment all I've done is rename them. So I exit this particular view, go into the staff tab at the bottom, click on staff schedule, and just work your way through the categories. So I go to vendors. It's already ordered by name, which is good. So if I scroll down to zone number 3, and here we have our 8 vendors at the bottom. Now if you have a look at these symbols here, where you've got the little sort of castle turret with the location pin next to it, what that means is that that vendor has been assigned to a specific shop. He's not free to wander, he's not free to go to any other shops that need a vendor. He's stuck at that one, or she, sorry, it's Betsy. She is stuck at that one particular vendor. So 6 of my staff are already stuck. 2 of them, they will go anywhere. Okay, so I need to change that, but the first thing I'm going to do is assign breaks. Now they can only have 1 break at a time. It's these green symbols, these green slots, that's when they're assigned to their breaks. So at the moment you can see out of the 8 vendors in this zone, 4 of them take their break at the same time. We don't want that. So what I'm going to do is go through. If you just click on the slot that you want to set as a break, and then up here you can change it from working to break or break to working. And once you set it to a break, it'll automatically reassign the previous slot that they did have as a break. So yeah, we'll go through, and what I'm going to do is just set it as a bit of a cascade. Spread out the breaks so that as fewer people as possible are on a break at the same time within the zone. And there we go. So now you can see out of these vendors for zone 3, none of them take a break at the same time. Now the reason I don't set the first block as a break, and I also don't set the last block as a break, is just pure personal preference. You can use them, but when I'm going through and doing the next part, you'll see it's easier for me to just know that if I click on the first slot, I'm not going to be messing with the break. So let's see about assigning Betsy to zone 3. So we click on a work slot and then go to advanced settings. At the top you'll see no zone. From there we want to select the zone that she's going to be working in, which is in this case is zone 3 Splash Mountain. And then if we scroll down you see she's assigned to a specific shop, the Heya Sushi shop. We want to remove that. We want her working anywhere. Now as you can see below, we've also got other options here. At the moment, for your typical park, you don't really need to change these, but what this means is that with all of these checked on, this particular vendor can work in any single shop in the park or in the zone that she's assigned to. If you want to, like for example guest services or a pool shop, those are generally more important than a souvenir, drink or food shop, so you might want to have 1 or 2 specific people just working on them to guarantee that they're always open. It's not really important with vendors, it's more important with janitors, it's more important with mechanics. But for the time being I'm just going to leave them all on, and at the bottom click apply to all day. Now you'll notice when this comes up that this says it applies to all work blocks, but it doesn't do anything about breaks. Okay, that's important. Okay, and now that the interface is updated, you can see she's gone from the little castle with a pin drop to attend anywhere, which is exactly what we want. However, it's only her work slots where she's been assigned to zone 3. If I click on the break slot and go to advanced settings, you'll see it has no zone. So you will need to come in twice for every single vendor and mechanic and janitor, set the zone for their work slots and set the zone for their breaks. This is a bit of a pain, but it doesn't take too long. Okay, so that's her done. Now I'm going to go through and update all the other ones as well. Okay, so I've now updated all of the vendors. So as you can see, the symbols have now changed on all of them to be this attend any shop rather than a specific one. They've got the little clipboard rather than the tower and the pin drop. I've updated all the work zones, all of the break time slots, so they're all in zone 3. And you can't really see it from this particular view, so we go up to the right hand side of this page, and you've got this little toggle for work status. That's what allows us to see these symbols in terms of breaks and attending anywhere. But if we toggle this from work status to staff zones, all the symbols update. So now when I scroll over them, you can see everything turns yellow, and they've all got the little roller coaster with the splash symbol on it for my new zone. That's how you know that everything has been assigned to the correct zone for the entire day. So it's always worth having a check. Unfortunately, they don't stay yellow unless you're hovered over them. It's a bit of an oversight. I did say that the UI was a bit rubbish for staff zones and staff management. This is one example of it. The other being I can't just select all the staff that I want and assign them all to a zone in one go. I have to do it individually. It's a bit of a pain. But as you can see, they're now all yellow for that zone. If I go up to zone 2, which is my water park, I've got a water symbol and it's coloured red. Should probably be blue, but as the default symbol is already blue, red stands out a bit better. If I keep going up, I'll get to the green. This is more my staff and staff zone 1. So that's it. That is the basics of setting up a staff zone and assigning staff to it. Now I've only done vendors on this one, but it's exactly the same process for all the other types of staff. You need to set their breaks, make sure they're not got overlapping breaks. You need to assign them to a zone for their working time, and you need to assign them to a zone for their staff breaks. It's really important you don't forget the staff breaks. It's easy to do, but if you don't set the staff breaks, then they're liable to go wandering off across the map to any old staff zone and be useless to you for half the day. So that's it. The only other thing I'll do is I'll go into the mechanics side of things. I've got my 2 mechanics down here. So what I'm going to do with them is go back to the work status thing. I'll spread out their breaks a little bit more, just in case there is a bit of wandering that they need to do. They're not going to be overlapping and both be useless at the same time. And I'll set their staff zones again, but it's this bit at the bottom here: repair infrastructure, service infrastructure, repair rides and service rides. This is really where you might want to get more involved in the micromanagement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one of my mechanics only doing infrastructure. Apply that to the whole day. And I have my second mechanic only doing rides. Now the reason for that is just because the infrastructure, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of solar panels in this particular zone. I don't want them breaking, because if any of them break or start to degrade, it'll affect more than just that one zone. A loss of power could turn off rides elsewhere in the park and just generally annoy people. So I really want to make sure I've got one person always working on it, and the other person can just focus on rides. And then double check by switching to the staff zone view. Both of my zone 3 mechanics are now correctly assigned to the zone for the whole day, which I'm happy with. And that's that. Once you've got your zones set up, you just need to run the park for a little while, make sure that the staff are actually where they're supposed to be, and just watch out for any extra things that pop up. So if you start noticing you're getting a lot of notifications about dirty toilets or too much litter in a particular zone of your park, you can either hire extra staff to cover the slack, or you can get stuck into the micromanagement and say, set a janitor to only clean up litter or only clean toilets. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial. I hope it helps you out. If you've got better ways to do it than the way I've done it, please let me know. I'm always open to improvements and ways of working quicker and better. But yeah, I hope it's been useful to you, and I hope to see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, that would really help me out. And yeah, good luck with your own parks. Bye.